Right guys, summer's over. It's time for a 9-month update on the 425 XL. Hi guys, welcome back to Paul UK Reefer. A few months since my last update, I haven't disappeared off the planet. Reason for the long gap in between was basically to spend a bit of time with the family during the summer break. I had a couple of months, did sort of on and off with holidays, and summer in the job that I do is an extremely busy time. So focused all on that, tried to keep the tank running as best as possible, but we'll have an update on that. In essence, everything's okay. We did lose one of the clownfish, the remaining clownfish, which happened just shortly after my last update, so that was a sad day. I think both of them from start to finish were never quite right, and they looked like they had some sort of gut issue, which I wasn't able to get to the bottom of, but all other fish are healthy, so unfortunately we lost them. We'll look at future stocking plans maybe towards the end of the video, but for now I'm going to run over a stock update, a tank update, coral update, and a few issues that I might have run into over the past few weeks. Okay, so before we move on to the fish and corals, the water clarity and general parameters. I slowed down on some of my water changes on the basis that I was enjoying myself and working very hard. And in essence, I wanted to leave the tank, keep my hands out of it this summer, see how growth went and see how water clarity went. So the clarity itself was fine, but over a couple of weeks of no water changes and continual feeding with flake and nori sheets, the phosphates rose quite quickly. I was using a bit of phosphate RX to keep it down, but I left it for a certain period of time, and in between that it did get up to a little bit of a higher level on +1 towards sort of 0.2. So obviously in a tank that's less than a year old, that's never a great thing. And as such, a bit of green hair algae started to form around on the rocks, just a sort of a fuzzy hair algae, not long green hair algae, not dinos or anything like that, and on the sand bed. So I blew some of it off, did some water changes and got the water back to where it needed to go to, but it's kind of remained and the phosphate keeps creeping up. So my balance on water changes and chemical filtration isn't perfect. So I'm still working on it, even 9 months in, to try and get it right. And I think what I need to do is a mixture of the 1 weekly water change still for now, and then just keep a really close eye on them phosphates. And I think perhaps dosing more of the phosphate RX to keep them lower would be a better idea. I think initially I just wanted to keep the dosing rate really low, just because I know lanthanum chloride's not a particularly good thing to overdose because it can wipe your tank out. So yeah, slightly increasing some of them doses, and again, the phosphates started to come down now. Did a couple of really big water changes when it got really bad. I did 4 straight water changes with my huge 88 litre water change system. So I got all the phosphates and nitrates down. So they're back to, nitrates are around 12, phosphates are about 0.08 again, and all seems happy in the tank. So when I take you off the stand and have a look at it, you'll see that some of the green hair algae is remaining, and I'm sort of still going in the basis of blowing it off the rocks and letting the filter roller take it out, and then just keeping doing the water changes. So hopefully eventually it'll go, and I've got a tank gang in there that are good hungry eaters anyway, so they should look after it. So without further ado, let's have a look at the fish stock. Have obviously stayed the same. We still have the blue hippo tang, the yellow tang, the Quincata vittatum wrasse, the yellow rabbit fish, and the orange spot rabbit fish. So one thing that has been happening, which is a product of big growth, as you can probably see in the top corner there, he's just skimming the surface. The rabbit fish like to do that. He's got huge. So the orange spot rabbit fish is just growing and growing and growing. He's growing at a much quicker rate than I expected to. Now, he's still quite happy. There's still got lots of room to swim around in the tank. He's very active. He seems very happy. The appetite's staying the same. But I think in the long run, and maybe short, medium term, if he carries on growing at the rate he is, we're probably going to have to rehome him. Now, I've already got a place to rehome him to. So again, I wouldn't take a fish on that I know I can't rehome. But he has bumped into a few of my corals every now and again, especially around feeding time, and hit them off. So I've made my own frags without actually trying to, by having the orange spot in there. But there's no marks on him. He's in really good nick. So so it'd be more really just to move him onto a bigger tank for his longevity for the sort of latter parts or the medium term part of his life. The same probably would happen if I was going to remove that. Obviously, the only other fish in the tank that is stopping me getting other fish in there is the Quincata vittatum wrasse. As you can see him just about here, and we'll look at him again closer when I get on the tank. He is a bit of a beast. He's a bit of a boss. whilst you can't get near the rabbit fish because they've got spines and the tangs have got their spikes, anything else, when I put other rats in there before, he's chased them off. Really territorial, really hungry feeder, and quite big. So if we were ever going to restock and take the rabbit fish out, I think what I would do, the same home would probably take him. So I think what I would do is probably try to catch both of them, remove them out, and then restock maybe a couple of more clowns and a few different smaller rats that are probably a bit less territorial. It's not something I'm going to do imminently. I'm going to wait and sort of lead up to the next few months and just see how it goes. But obviously I don't want anything to be uncomfortable, and I also don't want to stop buying fish for the tank. So yeah, that's the stocking plans. And then just as I take you off now to have a look at the coral growth, it's going really, really well. I've just looked back at my last video 2.5 months back, and the growth on pretty much every coral is brilliant. So I'll take you through one at a time with the camera. Hopefully it's not too shaky, and yeah, obviously if there's anything that any comments you've got to make, please do. Anything around the green hair algae you can see that's in there, it's kind of a short, it's not a turf algae because it's not as thick as that, but it's one I've never really dealt with before. So any advice for any reefers out there, please do throw it in there. At the moment I'm just trying to nutrient control, hope it burns itself out. But yeah, obviously there's things like Flux RX, if it's the right type of algae I might try. But for now, let's have a look at these corals, and yeah, hopefully you'll be as excited as I am that the growth is still going well, and it's starting to bunch out. And even from this shot now, you can really see it looks like a reef, which is, when you start with frags and small frags, it's a real patience game. But what I like and what I'm aiming to get with this tank is that from the other side of the room, you can see big colonies. So yes, I'm going to add some more corals at a future date, but I'm not going to absolutely pummel it with hundreds more. I want all of these corals to go into big colonies and be seeable or viewable from the other side of the room. And that's the plan. So I'll take you off the tripod and let's have a look now. Okay, so we've got some very white lighting and a lens on, so you can really see the bones of this. There's no hiding or Instagram filters going on this tank. You can really see the green hair algae straight away that's still on the sand bed that I've been wiping, still on the rocks here. Not irritating any of the corals, but it's really clear to see. Obviously I've got the filter on, which is why my hand looks so yellow, but this is a kind of warts and all update on the tank. So obviously when it goes bluer later in the day, you really can't see it, and it looks fantastic. But during the very high whites at the start of the day, you can see these this algae in here. It's really annoying because literally a puff of water over it and it disappears. So yeah, I'm trying to work on it. So any clues at all would be really, really helpful. So as you can see here, straight away, first off, if you look back on the previous video, the growth on the plating corals is amazing. This is double the size, the grafted one already. That's really settled in. When I first got that, it was kind of just the center of that circle. So over the moon with that, that's plating out lovely. This guy has got huge, to the point where it's fragged itself, or shall we say I fragged it while cleaning the glass. You can see a little chunk out of there. I'll show you where that ended up soon, because what I've been trying to do, if any of the frags that have come off, I've tried to replant them in the tank. The same for that stellata happened right at the start. It was a tiny little nub that was put there. Even that one back there was the tiniest little thing. So when things break off, I'm trying to just keep jamming them back into the reef to create as much of a natural looking one as I can when it all goes out. The purple Postulopora really grown on nice. You can see the purple and the colours and the greens. I mean, the lens is not really doing it the best of justice there. It really greens up under the blues. The rainbow and Milka stylos, they're growing. You can see the white tips on there, and when you look back on the video, they've grown. This is actually one that came off and has been replanted, so it's an extra frag. So I'm just hoping for this stylo garden to kind of grow out there. The biggest change to the tank is on the top here. So this rock used to have this barley coral that I had, which really never settled in. It was a beautiful coral, but it was wild caught, and it had only just come into the shop a few weeks before. And it really didn't ever settle. So it was a bit of a shame because it's a beautiful colony. So in the end, that kind of was removed, and the barley slimer is still there. And then these two other frags that I got from Signature Corals have gone up here, and they've really settled in nice. It's really not doing it much justice, but the orangey colours and rainbowy colours in these two acros are superb under the blues. And this little guy came in, really did nothing at all for about 3 weeks. And as you can see now, it's just started to move on the rocks. I think in this update, what you'll see when I move along to another acro colony is that it's amazing how long it can take for these things to settle in and start growing. The barley slimer was the same. It took ages, and it started as just one small little nub, and it's now gone up into a couple of branches. So I'm really excited about that one. It's a beautiful colony. The big stellata colony down here has fragged itself a couple of times. This was the one that fell off. This is one that's fell off, and this was one that fell off and ended up around the back of the tank. So again, just been replanting them, and they're slowly but surely building into a nice colony that you can really see from afar. The digitata, you'll see here, that started here, grew onto the rock, and it's really been basing over rather than growing out. But you can see there's extra growth here as well. So that started as one little colony here. So it's really an interesting growth pattern on that digitata. I wasn't really expecting that. The Chernobyl Montipora started as this little brick in the middle, and that's slowly but surely really basing out. And it's a really high fluorescent green under the blues. It looks gorgeous. Again, not really doing it much justice. The Rainbow Acan. Oops, trying to focus, there we are. So the Rainbow Acan is looking gorgeous, as you can see there. Again, much better with the blues turned up, but it's really bunching out and getting a bit fatter. The third head that was really small before is really starting to grow out. So happy with that. The other big milker styler in the middle, that's just massive. Now the most interesting coral out of the lot of them is here at the back. I'll try and zoom in. If you can see this guy here, you can even see, even with these lighting, there's like a bright fluorescence of yellow and then a pink through the middle of it. Now this pretty much completely bleached when I put it in the tank initially, and I thought it was a goner. So I left it there for ages, and it's since then just coloured up absolutely beautifully. So under the blues, that is it's like a fluorescent, and what I'm going to do is look back because I can't remember the name of that coral, but it's definitely a different colour to when it first originally went in. I think it's bleached and then come back twice as luminous. So I don't know what's going on, but it's starting to base over the rock. It looked gorgeous and there's no more bleaching on it. So we've saved that one. So I'm more than happy with that progress. Another stellata in the middle. This is a beast. What happens here is the moment this gets really big, the rabbitfish frags it for me, and then it ends up across the tank. Green hystrix, again, probably a third of the size bigger, and it's got some really interesting growth tips coming downwards on this one, like fingers, and you can see all the little white growth in there. It's really loving life in that position in the tank. Again, a right dark green to it when you take the lens off. The war coral started as the tiniest little thing there, is now growing downwards, hardly upwards, mainly downwards, which is great because I don't want it to go too high up because it will destroy that. So it's actually going down and working its way down. And as we're here, you can now see the plating coral. That's the bit that came off the other end down there. I just planted it in there, no glue, no nothing. And within 3 days, it actually clung on to the rocks. So it started its own new colony there. While we're here, we've got the candy cane coral. That's just ticking along nicely. It's grown a few heads, not as quickly as I'd have hoped, but still going pretty well. You can see here from this other Montipora, that's the disc that went in originally. It's probably 4 times the size of what it started at. Fungia plate don't move, doesn't just sits there laughing, smiling, happy. There's the other Monty as well. That one took ages to take hold. You can see the nub that it started with. It's now grown all the way around, so it's going on nicely. You can really see the green on this part. The Duncan that I fragged, that's growing on okay. It's slowed down growth-wise, which is great because before it was out here and I had to remove some of the heads. There's still some of it over there at the back there, if it can focus. If you can see on that, there's another colony of it still sitting there that I promised to somebody else, who will get that in due course. The red hystrix, again, this fell off 2 weeks ago because of Mr. Rabbitfish. So as you can see here, there's other little frags of it that have grown themselves and are taking off, but I've put it back in and you can see the white growth tips. It's loving life. It's, when I first got it, it was like this big. So, sorry, the focusing is not going well because the fish are all hungry. But yeah, again, blues on later on. I'll take the lens off at the end and do another sweep. It's really nice colony. Now here is the sad old forest fire digi. Now as you can see, there's a whole new colony of it been put here that fell off. This thing has grown out 3 times, and 3 times it has been smashed by my fish and fragged itself. So on this occasion I found the frag big enough at the back of the tank and replanted it, and it's taken off again. So I'm hoping at some point to actually grow the damn thing, but it's been a tale of woe. The jack-o'-lantern lepto, you can really see that now. That in the last 2 months has really grown off. It's starting to grow over the side of the plate that's on there, and it took forever to do that, but it looks gorgeous now. Let's try and get So in trying to get a focus, I turned Siri on and ruined my video. Apologies guys. Yeah, so again, you can see there, let's try and get a real close in on that. Beautiful colours on that, I love that coral. Another rainbow styler that's grown on nicely from the nub that started with. Now, one of the two interesting ones on the top rock here. The back one, beautiful colony of acro. You can see the basing out that's happened with that. It's gone all over the place. It's really, really taken off. And in the same token, my 2 other colonies, both here and here, the power head, I set them accidentally a little bit too high, and I think I took the flesh off them. So I was trying to get as much flow possible in the tank as I could with the MP40s, and I turned them up a lot, moved them a bit more central, and then the next day I came back and these were both sulking and stripped a bit. So heavy handedness, I think, has hurt them. But again, you can really see the algae on the rocks here that I'm hoping to bin off at some point. So tale of woe with these two, but at the back there, I'll try and come around the side because you might be able to just get a better view. There you go. Look, if you see the colours, it's really like a luminous. It's absolutely stunning. And it's starting to grow new nubs off of that growth. So really excited about that one. And then you can just see down here the Miyagi Tort. That is all new growth on it. It's absolutely gorgeous. That's another signature frag, that great company. Have a chat with Christian there if you want some acros. He's got the right stuff. Probably the best in the UK for me, for the acro high-end stuff. But yeah, look at the Miyagi Tort. Beautiful colours, luminous blues, yellows, greens, absolutely lovely. And then coming to the end of the coral update, we'll go around the side. We'll look at this. It's still early in the day, so the hammer hasn't fully opened up, but when this opens up, it pretty much covers this whole rock. Now, this is one that I got from a single head back in the Red Sea Max Nano days. It's in a low flow area of the tank, and it's absolutely lovely. It's one of my favorite corals. It's so simple. It's never had a head missing. It's absolutely just loved being in my tank and just grown. I mean, I don't know how many heads are on there now, but I'm expecting probably 15, maybe more. And when it comes out, it's only early in the morning now, but when it comes out later in the day, it fills that whole rock up. And yeah, at one point I was going to frag it and start it, and I thought, you know what? I just want a massive colony of it, and I'm going to let it grow, and it's going to have as much room as it needs. Behind it, you can see the red Unported digitata again. Came as a frag with a stick on it, and all it seemed to do is base out, so I don't think it's in the best position, but there you go. One more Milka Stylo. You can see there the fresh frag that ended up on the other side of the tank, and that's it. But yeah, if you've got the time to look back on the previous update, you will see that the growth has been great. So the alkalinity, I'm keeping it around 8.5 to 9, usually around the 9 mark. And it seems to be working really well. The lights I have not touched since day one. I set them according to a BRS video, using AB+, whacked a little bit of white in there extra, put them on about 56%, and I've left them and they've worked perfectly. I'm not going to touch the lighting. So yeah, we'll get this green algae out of here and it will look a bit better. But as a last view, just before I finish the video, I'll take this lens off, and you can see a little bit with the blue light in there. It kind of hides a bit of the algae, and you can see a little bit more of the luminescence as I travel over the tank. So, oh, forgot to mention the shrimp. He's still in there, hasn't been eaten by the rash yet, so he's doing well. But yeah, that's the tank update. So a couple of negatives, a couple of things to work on, but on the whole, 9 months in, looking great. Going into its next big update will be at the year point, and hopefully then we'll have some real maturity in the tank, and we'll get rid of some of this bedding in green algae stuff from my summer holiday and being lazy. Right guys, as always, like and comment. Please let me know how you're all getting on. Loads of you contact me through Instagram with tank updates and questions, so please keep doing it. I'm going to really enjoy the live stream that I did last as well, so I'm going to do another one of them. A couple of guys I know have said they'll come on as guests and have a chat and tell me all about their tanks, so I'll be reaching out to you soon and get into a bit of a rhythm with getting some more vids out. So take it easy, and I'll speak to you soon.